I think, we kind of seen the same things we saw last year. Definitely a team that could definitely hit you with a deep ball. They have a really good running back, a good quarterback. So I think they're all around well-rounded team. So I think, we just have to continue to do what we do every single year and just come out and execute our game plan.
They got a good receiver in Hutchinson. They're going to go to a lot. As a defensive back, you like that kind of challenge?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think we always love the challenge of playing a really good receiver, especially a receiver that they love to target a lot. So I think we'll definitely have our hands full with Hutchinson this weekend.
Do you have a little bit of extra excitement now that Iowa State's coming to Kinnick for once? It feels like.
Oh yeah, man. I was just telling somebody the other day, like I think Iowa State we haven't had an Iowa State games in Kinnick since 2018. So I'm definitely really excited to have that environment here in Kinnick this weekend.
Do you expect some extra juice in Kinnick Stadium, even though it's usually loud?
Yeah, I definitely think the fans will be a little bit juiced up for the Iowa State weekend. I think it always is, especially even when we go there. I think their fans are extremely juiced up. So I know our fans will definitely bring it.
Before you came to Iowa, you probably didn't know much about the rivalry, but now you've been in it for a few years. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the rivalry?
Oh man, I think it's like any other in-state rivalry. I'm being from Michigan. The Michigan State rivalry is something that's really huge. If you're from Alabama, I lived in Alabama for a little bit, so Alabama Auburn was always a big rivalry. So I think whenever you have an in-state team, there's always just that animosity between two sides. So I think any in-state rivalry is completely huge. And once I got here, I fully understood that.
When you have a game where you guys played really well on the offense struggle, and you're coming into the new week, what's the mindset as you're trying to keep the offense up and keeping them going? Because they obviously didn't play like the way they wanted to.
I think just continue to focus on what you got to do to execute your game. You can't really focus on everything else. You got to make sure that you're sticking to your keys and just continue supporting them. Every game isn't going to be 100%. We're going to have games where we don't execute to our fullest ability, and we're going to have to lean on the offense. So I think if we just continue to just focus on what we have to do day in and day out, making sure that we're on top of our game, making sure we're executing and communicating, making sure that when we get put in situations that we're making sure that the opposing offense isn't doing what they need to do to score, and just making sure we keep the ball at the end zone. I think we'll be completely fine.
I know most of the time you're playing the wide receiver and the tight end, not the quarterback, but does it pose a particular challenge? You have a guy on the other side of the field that can run around, that can throw the deep ball over the top of you.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. Because you always have to be on your P's and Q's. I think when you're guarding a receiver, you kind of have to get your eyes back to make sure that the quarterback isn't scrambling. I think, and also just with the scramble drill, once the quarterback gets out the pocket, there's no telling what your receiver or what the tight end might do. So you have to make sure you're on top of your keys at all times and just make sure you're paying attention to the game and what's going on around you.
You got stitches, man?
Yeah, I got stitches.
What happened?
I'm not saying
it. They lost Breece Hall, but now they got Gyro Brock back there. Kind of another bigger guy, got some speed to him. What have you seen out of him?
Oh man, he's a really well-balanced back. I remember him playing last year a couple times. I got to hit him a little bit. So he's definitely a well-balanced, solid back. I think he's I wouldn't say he's. I don't want to say he's not as good as Breece, because Breece is a really good back. But what I've seen from him so far, he's really well balanced. He run the ball really well, catch out the backfield. So he's definitely a very well-rounded back.
You got to see Hunter a bit last year. He did throw a touchdown on this team. What is it about him that gives him? You obviously mentioned the deep ball, but even dual threat ability. What do you like about him?
I think he got a chance to play a little bit last year, so I think he has confidence in the offensive scheme. He's not like a quarterback who just got out there this year. This is his first year playing. They gave him the opportunity to play in a couple of games last year, so I think he's definitely a quarterback who isn't going to get rattled being in Kenny. He might get a little bit rattled in Kenny. That's a different atmosphere, but just being comfortable in the offense and understanding the scheme and what his offense is trying to do, I think he'll definitely be comfortable in his system. So it's not going to really be any challenges for him. So I think that's really what it comes down to, just treating him as if he's a well-experienced quarterback and knowing that he understands what he needs to do to execute.
Sorry about that.
No,
You've never lost Iowa State. How much do you want to keep? You want to keep that tight?
I want to end my career not losing Iowa State. 100%. I would love that. Just to keep that on my career, my memory bank. That I never had the chance to lose Iowa State. So that's definitely on the back of my mind a little bit.
Turnovers are big for any defense, but apparently in this series, it seems like you guys are just able to force them to get turnovers and don't turn over the ball on offense. How big is that, when you guys are able to get that going and have that in your favor?
Oh man, I think like you said, making turnovers are big, but I think that's just us executing and being in the right spot at the right time. I think whenever an offense makes mistakes, that's when we capitalize as a defense. So if we just keep continue being where we need to be, always making sure we're in the right spot, always making sure we're talking, being on our keys, I think the turnovers will come. That's not something that a lot of people say. What do you do to cause turnovers? Just making sure you're in the right spot every single play. So if the offense makes mistakes today, if our D line, especially our amazing D line, if they're bringing pressure, those turnovers are definitely going to come.
Did you hear about Jack's comments after the game?
Yeah. I love him. I love that. I love him. I actually watched him. I think I saw him on Twitter, and I think I agree with everything he said. That was definitely a great way of putting it from Jack.
Is that a kind of a rallying point for the team?
Yeah, I think that's how we think. Not just but from what Jack said, but I think that's how we always think. I think we're always together, day in and day out, no matter what happens, no matter what takes place on the field, no matter what takes place outside of the building. I think we're always together every single day.
Joe Evans, what does it mean to this team?
Oh, everything, man. He's a leader. I came in with Joe, so I think we have just outside of the 5 to 6, 7 guys that we have. I think we have a lot of seniors on this team who are huge leaders and contributors on offense, defense, and special teams. So I think having a guy like Joe, someone who's experienced, someone who's been in the program and playing the way he plays, I think he's been playing tremendously. I think since 2019, making a lot of huge plays on our defense. So I think having Joe is definitely a huge contributor, especially having somebody such a big leader on that front line.
How do you see him with this walk-on mentality out each and every day in practice?
Oh yeah, I mean Joe's always coming with a different attitude. He's always going 100%. I think if you guys had a chance to see Joe working in practice, he never takes a play off. He's always going full speed. So I think that's something that Joe always kept a chip on his shoulder coming in here. That everything that he's going to do, he's always going to do 100%. And I think I see that day in and day out.
How much confidence do you guys still have in the offense that they're gonna rally past last week?
I think I have complete confidence. That every single game is going to be 100%. Everybody, like I said, everybody is going to have an off game. It's the first game of the season. Nobody's perfect. Week 1. I think this past weekend, Oregon lost to Georgia 3 to 48. You know what I mean? And Oregon has a tremendous offense. So and everybody knows that. So I don't have no I don't know how I'm trying to say. I really don't have no falsehoods of what our offense can accomplish. I think I have complete confidence in what they can do. I think I was able to see that throughout all of fall camp. The plays that they were able to make, the things they were able to do. So I have complete confidence week in and week out what the offense can do.
You're a veteran